Hi, my name is Camila Nakashima, and I'm a student in the program in the environment here at UW. For my final capstone project, I looked at social equity and sustainable development. The title of my presentation is Sustainable Development, Creating an Equitable and Just Society Through Capital Project Development. The reason that my research is important is that sustainable development has recently been championed as a way to combat and mitigate against climate change. However, current narratives and practices often leave out the key component of social equity. Figure 1 reflects the sustainability framework that I chose to follow for my project. And in this framework, Holden et al. Posit that the three pillars that compose sustainability are satisfying human needs, respecting environmental limits, and ensuring social equity. It often falls on the role of large institutions such as governments to promote social equity because they have the power and influence to enact change on a wide-scale level. To explore government implementation of social equity, I researched the following question. What are the barriers to incorporating equity and social justice, ESJ, in capital projects, and what solutions can government agencies utilize to overcome them? Capital projects are county-funded projects that help maintain county infrastructure in the context of King County. These are of all scales and can be something small like retrofitting a culvert or larger scales, such as building a new recycling facility. For my internship, I interned with King County's Solid Waste Division and Green Buildings team. King County requires all capital projects to incorporate specific equity and social justice, ESJ guidelines, comprised of credits that can be utilized in projects. For example, credit number 3 is assemble exemplary diversity in project and design teams, and credit 4 is conducting an equity impact review, which is a process to determine both positive and negative impacts on equity of a given project. I explored the implementation of ESJ guidelines through attending meetings of various ongoing projects. I also wrote my own equity impact review for a specific project and also wrote an ESJ plan, which lays out the process and intended methods of completing ESJ credit guidelines for a given project. To further my research, I also interviewed 7 county employees on their experiences with ESJ implementation and conducted a literature review of existing case studies globally. I found 3 main barriers to ESJ implementation. Number 1, unclear government priorities. Number 2, a lack of public accessibility. And number 3, a lack of funding. Figure 2 lays out these 3 main barriers. In terms of unclear government priorities, I found that many people feel that implementing ESJ becomes quote unquote checking the boxes and not an actual priority of project managers. In terms of lack of public accessibility, there is a lack of community and stakeholder voices in project development. Limitations such as time and technology access create barriers to public engagement and make projects inaccessible to the public, and thus their voices are not heard in the project design and planning process. Finally, insufficient funding prevents project managers and teams from being able to effectively and efficiently promote ESG in their projects. Typically, only 0.1 to 1% of a project's total budget goes towards ESG implementation. More funding would allow for more resources to be used towards ESG. To overcome these 3 barriers, I determined 3 best method solutions. Number 1, increasing public accessibility through providing community members and stakeholders with more resources and opportunities to participate in the planning, design, and creation of capital projects. Number 2, to combat the unclear government priorities, there needs to be a prioritization of equity and social justice from the beginning of each project with intention. This also includes removing the disconnect between county workers sitting at their desks and community members who are on the ground. Number 3, increasing funding so that more resources can be provided and utilized to promote ESJ implementation. This could include monetarily compensating people for their time attending meetings or joining citizen boards, or printing out information in different languages other than English in places where there are other commonly spoken languages, so that information can be more accessible to the public. The common theme amongst these 3 solutions is that promoting community engagement and community accessibility is key to promoting equity and social justice. Figure 3 represents this. It is a word cloud of keywords from interviews that I conducted with King County employees in response to the question, what are effective ways of implementing equity and social justice in capital projects? We see that a lot of the words focus around community meetings, community accessibility, community citizen boards. And by emphasizing community voices and incorporating these in capital projects, we ensure that projects are benefiting the people that they serve. The implications of this research is that through incorporating these solutions, social equity is increased amongst all groups. Tying this back into our sustainability framework, increasing equity and providing resources to all communities both satisfies human needs and respects environmental limits, thus contributing to a more sustainable future. Promoting community accessibility and engagement also raises voices of community members who have historically been left out of decision-making processes. Collaborating with community-based organizations, compensating people for their time, and ensuring written and spoken resources are available in commonly spoken languages other than English helps projects become more accessible and increases community engagement. Having more diverse hiring practices and prioritizing ESJ from the very beginning of a project ensures that ESJ becomes foundational in all county work and becomes an intentional priority, not a task. Moving forward, these solutions should be incorporated in future government work to promote equity and social justice and altogether promote a more sustainable future. Thank you for joining me and hearing about my project. I'd like to thank my site supervisor, Nori Katabe, my faculty advisor, Will McKeithen, my capstone cohort, and finally, my friends and family for supporting me through this process and making my capstone project possible. Thank you.